Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy That's the True Inferno. Back at it with another Throwback Tunes on another Thursday, and I am reviewing Fear of Flying by Mya. So this is actually her second studio album. Now, there's a bit of some info regarding this album. So this album was first released on April 25th in the year 2000. It was recorded from 1999 to March of 2000. And this was done under University Music Entertainment, UME, obviously, and Interscope Records. So there's that. The producers involved were, oh my gosh, it's a lot. Hack Islam, executive producer. Mya, who was also executive producer. Steve Cutmaster Stout, who was also executive producer. Florian, Flo, Amon, Bag, and Arthur. Amther. Is that a? Yeah, that's him. Amther, excuse me. Taryn Beal, Jimmy Cozier, LaShawn Daniels, Anthony Dent, Jerry Wonder Duplessis. How do you pronounce his last name? Damon Elliott, Jerome Nobody Foster, Wyclef Sean, Rodney Jerkins, or is it no, it's not Jenkins, it's Jerkins. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Candy, The Mercenaries, Daryl Day Pearson, Pro J, oh my gosh, this last name, Scott Schwerzberger, SCHWERTFEGR. I apologize if I'm butchering these names, but I am butchering these names, I apologize. Shakespeare, SHE'Kspeare. I'm cracking out. Soul Shock and Carlin, Sovereign, Christopher Tricky Stewart, Swiss Beats, Robin Thicke, Paul Chunky Thompson, Tony Pope, and Big Jim Wright. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. Now, a little bit of background info on this joint. So following the commercial success of her debut album, which I reviewed last week, Mya quickly re-entered the recording studio to begin working on her second album. During her 2 years away, she toured with several artists and made her film debut in the thriller In Too Deep. I believe I've seen that movie once. I think it was a good movie. If you remember it correctly. It had Omar Epps and LL Cool J. And that came out in 1999. Additionally, she was selected by Bongo Jeans as their spokesperson and had a Tommy Hilfiger lipstick shade named after her. During the development stages of the album, Mya consulted several different producers for her follower album, including Shakespeare, Nobody, Tricky Stewart, Robin Thicke, as well as Wyclef, Swiss Beats, and Rough Rider. A number of guest vocalists also contribute in the project. Well, I'm not going to name those names yet. I don't want to give it away who it is. Mya, who did some writing on her debut album, was heavily involved in the production of Fear of Flying, saying, and I quote here, "I wanted to get that hands-on experience. I was involved in every single process from writing and recording to producing, mixing, and mastering." In response, end quote. In response to the album's material, the singer commented that many of the album's songs are about female empowerment. And I'm quoting here right here. "I'm learning that the decisions being made ultimately affects me. So I make most of them with the insight and help of other people. I still have to focus on what feels good to me and what's going to work in the long run instead of selling 20 million records or being controversial." End quote. The album's title came from a song Mya recorded by the same name, not from Erica Jong's 1973 novel of the same name. Just want to throw that out there as well. During an interview with Billboard, which discussed the title, Mya noted that while she had not been aware of the book, she later, and I quote, started reading it and noticed a lot of similarities. So that's interesting. That's pretty cool. Fear of Flying is a metaphor, and that's the intro, by the way. Oh no, but she continues on. Never mind. Fear of Flying is a metaphor for the ups and downs of life. It's about handling things like an adult, knowing you must have faith to make anything happen, end quote. So, and then here's some more interesting stuff. Interscope hired photographer and director David LaChapelle to shoot the images for the album's packaging. While she admired the work of Dave, Mya revealed she cropped the original album's cover because it focused on her body, commenting, "I didn't like it, it wasn't captured," end quote. So there you go with that. Now, let's get on with the accolades. So it's actually won the Urban Contemporary Award at the 2000 Washington Area Music Awards, and it was nominated for Album of the Year by the same ceremony that same year. 2001, she was nominated for Best Album and by the MOBO. I had no clue what that is. The MOBO Awards. and was nominated for Best R&B/Soul Album in the female category by the Soul Train Music Awards. Alright, so there's that. Now let's look at the charts of the album. It was 28th in the Australian Albums Charts, 5th on the Australian Urban Albums Charts, 39th in the Canadian Top Albums/CDs Charts, 102nd in the French Album Charts, 52nd in the German Album Charts, 39th in the New Zealand Albums Charts, 33rd in the Swiss Album Charts, 81st in the UK Album Charts, 17th in the UK R&B Album Charts, 15th on the US Billboard 200, and 7th on the US Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums Charts. By the end of the year 2000, it was 144th in the US Billboard 200 and 73rd in the US Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums Charts as well. And by the end of the year 2001, it was 178th on the US Billboard 200 charts. And the certifications, it was gold out in Australia and in Canada, selling 35,000 copies in Australia and 50,000 copies in Canada, and it was platinum here in the US with 1.2 million copies sold. Now, like I said, it came out in the US, well, I didn't say where, but it came out April 25th, 2000 in the US. That was under CP, LP, and cassette, and those were the standard versions, and that was by Universal and Interscope. Now, it also came out in Japan 3 days later, CD format. It was also released in Germany June the 19th, and the rest of these are in CD format. And those two was in standards version, by the way. And that also came out July 24th of the year in the same year as well, but in the UK, again, standard version. Now that one was under Polydor label. That's new. I never heard of them. Polydor Records, so that's interesting. Now here's where things get really interesting. Later that year, in the US, November 7th, it was reissued and re-released at that time under University Interscope. Polydor also re-released a reissue on February 19, 2001 in the United Kingdom, and Universal released the reissue version in Germany in May 8, 2001, but Australia got the standard version by Universal on August 21st, 2001, so they didn't get the reissue version. So if I think it reissued, yeah, this album was reissued. So here's where things going to get really interesting. So when we're going to talk about the album, we're going to add, because they took out, in the reissue version, they took out 2 tracks from the original and added 2 new tracks. And yeah, that's exactly what they did. So there's the original, then there's the reissue. Now the UK version of the reissue, they got 3 more tracks. And then of course there's the 20th anniversary expansion edition. Now I'm only going to review the original 18 tracks and the 2 tracks that was added in the reissue version. And there's 4 skits total. So instead of me giving you guys a top 3, which would have been the case if I would have done either the original or the reissue version, it's over. It's at 16 tracks, 16 songs rather. So I can actually give you guys a top 5, not a top 3. So that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna read off the track listings for the original version, and I'm gonna say, let's just go through the track listings for both versions. So again, they took out 1 song from the original and added 2 new songs on the reissue. So the first song is called Turn It Up, and in parentheses, intro featuring Swiss Beats. Same for the reissue version. Track 2 is Case of the X, which is actually one of the 3 singles off this album, the second single off this album. And that's the same track number 2 on the reissue version. Now here's where things get different. Ride and Shake is the 3rd track off this album on the original version. In the reissue version, that will go to Free. Track number 4 is called That's Why I Wanna Fight. And on the reissue version is Pussycat, which is ironic because that's also the 5th track in the original version. And the reissue version, they got Again and Again. Now here's where things get different. Again and Again was one of the 2 tracks added on the reissue version. So I'm gonna put it out there. Track number 6 is called The Best of Me, which was actually the first single off of this album. And that features Jadakiss. That's on the original version. Track number 6 on the reissue version was called How You Gonna Tell Me. Track number 7 is called Lie Detective featuring Beanie Man. And then on the reissue version, we got the Grandma Says skit, and the word skit is in parentheses. So there's that. Track number 8, no, that was track number, no, track number 8 is called How You Gonna Tell Me. There it is right there. And then on the reissue version, we got Taking Me Over, no G, but with the possibility being Taking Me Over, featuring the late and great Left Eye, Lisa Left Eye. Track number 9 for the original joint. Now we got the Grandma Says skit right there. Around the reissue version, we got The Best of Me featuring Jadakiss. Track number 10 now on the original version, we got Taking Me Over featuring Left Eye. Whereas in the reissue version, that one would be Lie Detector featuring Beenie Man. Track number 11 is called Now or Never. And on the reissue version, we got Fear of Flying, which is the 12th track off of the original version. And the 12th track is, on the reissue version, is Fear of Flying in parentheses interlude. So there's another skit, which is also the 13th track, to some degree, of the original version, but they just shortened it to they call it Flying and then parentheses interlude. It's the same thing. It's the same track. Track 13 on the reissue version is Now or Never. Track number 14 is called Can't Believe on the original. While on the reissue is Now. Okay, I'm gonna say pause on this. Man in My Life. Track number 15 is called No Tears on My Pillow, and that track right there was not on the reissue version. Track number 15 on the reissue version, they got Can't Believe. Track number 16 they got For the First Time. While the reissue version got That's Why I Want to Fight. Track number 17 is called Pause Again, Man in My Life. Then the reissue version, they got Ride and Shake. And then the last track off of both albums is called Get Over, and then parentheses outro. So there's that. And actually, now that I think about it, I think there was only 3 skits. Because the outro, that was an actual song. That was legit an actual song right there. See, there was actually 3 skits, so I apologize for that. So, to retrack what's different about these 2 albums. So, if I recall correctly, the original version, the only difference that they had was No Tears on My Pillow and For the First Time. Those 2 tracks did not make the reissue version. The reissue version, they added Free, and they added, if memory serves me correctly, Again and Again. So they added Free and Again and Again. So those 2 were not on the original version. And again, they took out No Tears on My Pillow and For the First Time in the reissue version. So now let's get on with the singles. So again, the first single is called The Best of Me. This one featured Jadakiss. So this one came out March 6, 2000. It was recorded from 1999 all the way up to January 2000. And let's see. There is a music video for this as well. I saw it earlier today while I was watching it. And Atlanta rapper Father, never heard of him, but okay, recorded and released a cover version of this song. So that's very interesting. Now let's take a look at the charts. It was 26th out in Germany, 75th on the Netherlands Single Top 100, 10th on the Netherlands Tip Parade chart, 64th in Switzerland, 50th in the US Billboard Hot 100, 14th on the US Hot R&B / Hip Hop Songs tracks, 18th on the US Rhythm charts. By the end of the year 2000, it was 59th in the US Hot R&B / Hip Hop Singles and Tracks chart. And the single was released in the US in March of 2000, March 20th, in CHR and Whitman format. And it was released in urban format on April 11th, same year. Germany released it on June 5th on the maxi singles and enhanced CD format. Now, there is a part 2 to this song, which is not on this album. It's on a completely different album. That one features Jay-Z. And there's a little tiny bit of controversy behind that one. But we're not going to talk about that. Because again, that song did not make this album. Now, another interesting note that I did not know about until today was that the love interest in this video was portrayed by Cisco's cousin. I had no clue that dude was Cisco's cousin. So that really caught me off guard. I just said some stuff. And oh yeah, part 2 also has a music video. Now, let's move on to the second track off of this, the second single of this album, which is called Case of the X. This joint came out August 28, 2000. It was recorded in the fall of 1999. Yes, and actually all 3 singles had music. Yeah, all 3 singles had music videos as well. So throw that out here as well. And the video drew comparisons to Janet Jackson's music video for You Want This and Mel Gibson's 1979 film Mad Max. So that's very interesting. And let's see. Any other news? Now, it did get accolade. It actually won Urban Contemporary Recording by the Washington Area Music Awards in 2001, and it was nominated for Video of the Year that same ceremony, that same year as well. So there's that. Oh my gosh, the charts. Okay. It was number 1 in Australia, 16th on the Belgium Ultra Top 50 Flanders, 26th on the Belgium Ultra Top 50 Wallonia, 14th on the Canada Top Singles chart, 6th in the Canada Airplay charts, 13th in Europe, 29th in France, 39th in Germany, 12th in Ireland, 7th in the Netherlands Dutch Top 40, 8th in the Netherlands Singles Top 100, 17th in New Zealand, 15th in Scotland, 72nd in Switzerland, 3rd in the UK singles charts, 2nd in the UK dance charts, 1 on the UK R&B charts, 2nd on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 10 on the US R&B Hip Hop Songs chart, number 3 on the US Mainstream Top 40, and number 1 on the US Britney charts as well. By the end of the year 2000, it was 32nd in the Netherlands Dutch Top 40, 64th in the Netherlands Singles Top 100, 72nd on the US Billboard Hot 100, 87th on the US Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs charts. And at the end of the year 2001, it was number 11 out in the Australia charts, number 4 in the Australia Urban charts, 91 on the Belgium's Ultra Top 50 Flanders charts, 160th on the Netherlands Dutch Top 40, 107 in the UK Singles charts, and number 40th on the US Billboard Hot 100. And the single was platinum in Australia with 70,000 copies sold, and silver in the United Kingdom with 200,000 copies sold as well. Now, in terms of the release history, it was released in the US July 18, 2000 through CHR and Whitman format. And as a 12-inch single, it was released in the US August 8th, same year. Germany got their CD single September 6th, same year. And the United States got the maxi single and CD single on November 4th, same year. The United Kingdom got those on January 29th, 2001. And that was released by Polydor. Right? Everything else was released by Interscope. So there's that as well. Now, let's move on to the third and final single off of this album, which is called Free. So this joint was released on March 13, 2001. It was recorded in the summer of 2000. And, oh, this is very interesting. So, musically, it was compared to Janet Jackson's third studio album, Control. So there's that. And yes, there is a music video for this as well, even though I did not see it live, but it's on YouTube, so you can easily find it. And a little bit of interesting stuff right here. So she explained to Launch, I have no clue who that is, but okay, how involved she was in the making of Free, speaking on following: roller skating, party dancing, locking, and racking with 2 A's. I have no clue what that is. I'm assuming that's a typo. Were actually all her concepts. She got together with an underground dance / choreographer named Brian Green, aka Brian Footwork Green, and they put it together on their own. Maya revealed it was a struggle in a fight working with somebody underground because he's not established, but continued by saying that was the best thing about making Free because she knew him and what he had to offer, and it was great. And it actually premiered on MTV's TRL and BET's 106 in Park on November 16, 2000. Who remember those shows? Oh my gosh, the charts. Okay. It was number 4 in Australia, 2nd on the Belgian Ultra Tip Flanders, not top, 8th on the Belgian Ultra Tip Wallonia, 25th in Canada, 46th in Europe, 66th in Germany, 35th in Ireland, 41st in the Netherlands, single top 100, 2nd on the Netherlands Tip Parade, 12th in Poland, 21st in Scotland, 76th in Switzerland, 11th in the UK singles charts, 5th in the UK R&B charts, 6th in the UK dance charts, 42nd on the US Billboard Hot 100 charts, 52nd in the US Hot R&B / Hip Hop Songs charts, 13th in the US Mainstream Top 40, and 11th on the US Britney charts as well. At the end of the year 2001, it was 32nd in Australia, where it was platinum, selling around 70,000 copies. So in the US, under urban format, it was released November 21st, 2000, and it was released on January 23rd, 2001, under CHR pop format. So that's interesting. And Australia got the CD single May 15, 2001 by Universal Music. So that's interesting as well. And I did mention, yes, there is a music video for this as well. So, oh, okay, here's some more interesting stuff. Before being added to the re-release edition of Fear Flying, Free was initially released as the first single to feature film, Bait, which starred Jamie Foxx. That film came out 2000. I don't recall seeing it. So I know, yeah, I don't recall seeing it. So there is that. And actually, yo, Brian Footwork Green got an ACA Award 2001 because of this, the dance routines in this video. ACA, American Choreographers Awards. That's very interesting as well. Alright, now we're going to go through the best track off of the original and the reissue from What's the First. The intro, turning up, the beat is really cool. I'm going to say that right there. Now, No Tears on My Pillow, that's the worst track off this album. I'm glad I didn't make the reissue version something to play. The tempo is cool, same with the melody and the bass and the kick and the snaps are cool. Overall, the track was just cool. There you go with that, mostly by comparison. Next up, Man in My Life, pause on that. Tempo is cool, melody is cool, bass is cool, kick is cool, snare is borderline cool / really cool. Overall, the track is cool. Next up, Fear of Flying. The tempo is really cool, the melody is cool, same with the bass and the kick. The snare is borderline cool / really cool. Overall, the track is cool. Then we got Can't Believe. The tempo is cool, the melody is cool / really cool, the bass is cool, same with the kick. The snare was really cool. Overall, the track is cool. Next up is Again and Again. The tempo is borderline cool / really cool. Now, the melody / guitar here is cool. The bass was straight as it was hard to hear it due to the guitar, I will admit that. The kick was excellent. We're going to talk more about these kicks later. The snare is cool. Overall, the track is cool. Next up, Taking Me Over. The tempo is really cool. The melody was just straight though. The bass is cool. The kick is, I think this is the first time I'm saying this. Really cool / excellent. So it was the borderline between really cool and excellent. The snare was really cool. Overall, the track was cool as the tempo and the drums made this track, but that melody was not good. I will be honest. That melody was not good. Get Over is next. The tempo is cool, same with the melody. No bass hurt this one. The kick is cool / really cool and powerful, which is a theme, actually. The kicks are really powerful throughout the majority of this album. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is cool. Next up, For the First Time. Tempo is cool. Melody is really cool. The bass is borderline cool / really cool. The kick is really cool and powerful. The snare / snaps combination are really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. Then we got Ride and Shake. The beat pattern is really cool. Tempo is really cool. Melody is really cool. The bass is cool. The kick is really cool. And you guessed it, powerful. The main snare is really cool. The other snare is cool, but at the same time, it can really do without it, to be honest. The percussions are borderline cool / really cool. Overall, this track is really cool. Next up, Lie Detector. The tempo is really cool, same with the melody. The bass was just cool though. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. Now, Beanie, when his verse dropped, he had his own kick and his own snare, and both of them were just cool. I feel like those Beanie's kicks, and like I'm not saying he produced and added them in there, but I'm talking about when the kicks and snare drop for his verse, they could have done without it, in my opinion. The track is really cool. They should have took out those drums used for Beanie's verse. Yeah. Next up is Now or Never. The tempo is excellent. The melody is cool / really cool. The bass is cool / really cool. The kick is cool. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. Next up is How You Gonna Tell Me. The tempo is really cool. Gonna as in Gonna, by the way. I forgot to explain that. The tempo is really cool. Same with the melody. The bass was just straight. It just needs more of it. The kick, however, was excellent. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. And I really wanted this to be in my top 5, but it barely missed out, and that is The Best Singer. Tempo is really cool. Melody is really cool. The bass is cool, but needs more of it. The kick is borderline cool / really cool. Same with the snare. Overall, the track is really cool. Now, for the top 5 tracks off this album. The 5th best track off this album is Ride and Shake. The beat pattern is really cool. Tempo is really cool as well. Melody, same thing. The bass was just cool. The kick is really cool, and you guessed it, powerful. The main snare here is really cool. The other snare is just cool, and again, they do without it. The percussions here are borderline cool / really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. The best track off this album, 4th best track off this album, excuse me, Pussycat. The tempo is really cool. The melody is cool but lackluster. The bass is cool, but that kick is excellent and powerful. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool if you ask me. The best track off this album, Case of the X. The tempo is really cool. The melody is really cool. The bass is borderline cool / really cool. The kick is cool. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. 2nd best track off this album, That's Why I Wanna Fight. Drum pattern is unique but really cool. The tempo is really cool. Same with the melody. The bass was just cool though. The kick is cool / really cool. Snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. Number 1 track off this album is Free. The tempo is excellent. The melody is really cool. The bass is borderline cool / really cool. The kick is really cool. The snare is cool / borderline really cool. So it's between those two. And the track as a whole is really cool. So Free, the best track off this album, followed by That's Why I Wanna Fight, Case of the X, Pussycat, I'm about to say Pussycat, and Ride and Shake. Now, about to give you guys some professional ratings. AllMusic gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Billboard gave it a favorable review. Entertainment Weekly gave it a C. People gave it a favorable review. Q gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Rolling Stones gave it 2 out of 5 stars. The Shorts gave it a favorable review. Uncut gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Vibe gave it a favorable review. And Vor gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars as well. So what do I think about this album? Okay, here's the deal with this album. I'm gonna be honest here. I have to say this was the highest point for Maya's career. I'm gonna be honest with you. This was the highest point of her career. So after this album, and after that one song she did for the Moulin Rouge soundtrack, which is called Lady Marmalade, which features Christina Aguilera, Lil' Kim, and Pink, that one was a dope. That one was like probably her best track. Even though that's not solely her track, but of course that's the best track if you look at the charts and the certifications. But in terms of everything that is hers, this right here, this album, like the singles that she released, Best of Me and Case of the X especially, those two tracks was like her most, in my opinion, her best track singles really that she came out with. This was the peak of her career in my opinion. So anytime I watch music videos, I will always see Maya with the Best of Me Part 2, and Case of the X. Those three right there. I also seen, you know, It's All About Me and Moving On, or especially Moving On. But right here, Fear Fly, in my opinion, because I have not heard the rest of her album, but Fear Fly to me was her best album right there. I'm gonna give this one a 4. What is this? A 4 or 4.25? There's a lot of good tracks on here. I'm gonna say 4.25 out of 5. I wouldn't necessarily say there's some classics here, but there's nothing here that's legendary. You know, obviously, Case of the X is legendary. The Best of Me is legendary. That Top 5 Free, That's Where I Want to Fight, and Pussycats, those are classics as well. Not legendary classics, but nothing here is like really legendary, if you ask me. But 4.25 out of 5, I recommend you download it and you keep it. So I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is for New Jadakiss, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.